It's not just me, right? Movies have to be getting dumber. I mean, it sure feels like that sometimes.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
I don't mean that films are getting worse. I mean, they absolutely are, and I can prove it, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today are the three smart-sounding, data-driven ways that movies are getting dumber. The first step is to clear up what I mean by the word dumb. Movies can be simple, movies can be dumb, and movies can be bad. These are totally different things. Jaws is simple. I mean, no shade to Big Steve. It's an elegant masterpiece of blockbuster filmmaking. But it's about a shark, not genocidal time-traveling squids. Speaking of, Edge of Tomorrow is dumb. Not simple, just dumb. It doesn't exist to explore deep intellectual ideas. It exists to punish Tom. But that doesn't make it bad.
What the hell were you thinking?
It's great. Bad is about execution. Ridley Scott's The Counselor is bad. Really, really bad. The script from Cormac McCarthy is trying to achieve a lot. It's neither simple nor dumb. It's just bad. From here, we can pick a mix. You can be simple and dumb.
I got family.
You can be simple and bad.
And I am hungry as an audience, to see a film like this.
That's unfortunate. You can be dumb and bad.
She's a cat.
Many movies are simple, dumb, and bad.
You had no reservations about playing the poop emoji?
None whatsoever.
And occasionally, a film is none of these things. Moonlight is neither simple, dumb, nor bad. I mean, it eventually won an Oscar.
La La Land.
It's not fun. But who likes to enjoy entertainment anyway? So when we talk about movies getting dumber, we're not saying they're bad. You understand, right? Because you're smart, and you're going to prove it by helping me crack the movie dumbification problem. Hi, I'm Stephen Follows. I'm a film data scientist, and I come up with new movie records for Guinness World Records. And in today's installment of Stephen Goes All Mega Nerd to Track Down a Highly Subjective Claim, we're looking at three simple things. Here represented by the three Dumb and Dumber films. These dumbification signals are simple words, simple sentences, and simply wasting our time. We're going to scan for these signals across a dataset of over 65,000 films. And then, this idiot is going to let you idiots know if those idiots are writing dumber or not. I started this feeling really smart, but I've lost it. Okay, I'm going to show you some charts to regain the clever high ground. We'll start with vocabulary variety. Technically, this is called the measure of textual lexical diversity, but we don't need to use government names here. We're all friends. This is about whether writers reuse the same words throughout the script. Like the word dumb. Let's say we have two scripts. In one, a character says something is astonishing, and later they describe it as extraordinary, and then maybe they say it's unprecedented. This writer is thinking bigly and coming up with new words each time. Whereas in someone else's script, a character keeps saying the same thing. This sucks. Whoa, that sucks. Whoa, that's so sucky. The first script would have a high MTLD score, while the second one sucks. When we crunch the numbers, we see that movies are becoming lexically less diverse over time. Scripts are reusing words sooner than they used to, which means that the linguistic palette is shrinking, making dialogue sound more direct and perhaps more predictable. So this signal suggests that scripts are becoming simpler. Dumbness confirmed? Not yet. I think we need to think a little bit more about this. Let's keep digging. Signal 2. Simple sentences. In the 1940s, films were extremely talkative. Dialogue occupied a large proportion of the screen time. That declined in the mid-century, plateaued around the 1970s, dipped again in the 1990s, and has risen since the mid-2000s, although it hasn't got back to the 1940s level yet. And because of this, we've seen a relatively big decline in the amount of screen time in which no one is speaking. Put another way, films are breathing less. I know what you're thinking. Aha! Maybe all that extra speaking means the characters are expressing more complex thoughts. That's not a dumb thought about dumb thoughts, but it turns out it's wrong. During the middle of the previous century, movies might have expressed that thought thusly. While I appreciate the perfectly reasonable assumption that a greater quantity of speech may afford characters the opportunity to articulate nuanced and layered ideas, it becomes abundantly clear that on closer inspection, the proliferation of dialogue does not, in fact, guarantee profundity, and you have therefore drawn a conclusion that the evidence simply does not sustain. Whereas now they will be up in your grill like, nah, you're wrong, idiot. And this graph proves it. Over the last 80 years, the number of words in each movie line has fallen fairly steadily. Looking at this another way, we can see a big growth in the movie lines with just 1, 2, or 3 words in them. That's so sucky. That sucks. Dude, are good examples. Modern characters speak more often, but in shorter, more frequent sentences. Think of the dumbest person you know. They have a tiny vocabulary, but they won't shut up. That's what's happening in movies. At this point, I'm calling it 2-0 for yes, movies are getting dumber. One last thing for us to test. Conversational padding. Signal 3, simply wasting our time. Are movies full of pointless words now? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. When we track the use of filler words like that, we can see the strongest signal yet. This line goes way up. So it's decided. Modern movies speak more, but say less. They use fewer words and less complex sentences, and they include more pointless filler. That's pretty f***ing dumb. But some of you may be about to say, Stephen, I just looked around the world and it's pretty f***ing dumb too. Movies are just doing their jobs at reflecting us, and the screenwriters are pretty darn clever to be adjusting their language choices to match what we idiots are doing every day. And to that, I say 2 things. First, what the hell? This is supposed to be a parasocial relationship. Get out of my head. Secondly, that's a pretty smart point. Maybe movies aren't getting dumber, maybe we are. All right, I got this. I know how we can test this theory. There are 2 things that could be behind the graphs that we've seen so far. It could be that the way screenwriters are writing is changing. If this is the case, given the changes we've seen, that would support the argument that movies equal dumber. Fair enough. Or it could be that since most movies are set in the modern day, and that we've become more relaxed about language in the real world, what we're seeing is just writers keeping up with us idiots. Movies not dumb, people dumb. How do we test that? I'm glad you asked, but please stop talking to me. I'm trying to record the audio for this video. To figure this out, we'll start by hitting 88 miles per hour. Howdy. Let's run the numbers on 2 sets of movies. Movies that are set in the modern day, and movies that were written at different times, but all set in the same historical period. For the historical period, I had to pick a large enough data set. So after the 20th and 21st centuries, the 1800s has the largest number of movies set within it. In doing that, I figured out the most popular years movies have been set in. And I think that'll make a great little video in itself. So like and subscribe if you want to see that coming up on the channel. You'll never guess what year it is. Or maybe you will. I don't know. Maybe you're good at guessing. Back to our test. Historical movies versus movies set in their own time. If scripts are getting dumber and this is a writing trend, then we should see the same movement in both groups. But if they're different, then screenwriters are geniuses. Let's put them through our dumb and dumber signals to see how they turn out. The first signal isn't a slam dunk for either case. Films set in the 1800s do not show the same decline in vocabulary variety that we see in contemporaneous titles. There is still some downward movement, but it's a lot flatter, which means statistically speaking, half a point to either side. Let's hope the next one is clearer. It is! Both of the ways we track the simplicity of sentences reveal that modern movies and historical films have both changed in tandem over the past 80 years. Dialogue lines are getting shorter in all types of movies. And the number of short lines is increasing in both groups. So part of what we're seeing is not characters sounding more modern. It's writers writing in more modern styles, whether they're setting that story in 2022 or 1822.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
I've heard worse.
You liar.
Come on, you pansy.
So movies being dumb is in the lead. Let's do the final test and end this damn video. When we look at language complexity, it comes down on the side of writers knowing what they're doing. In contemporaneous movies, the use of filler words that, we don't even need has increased dramatically over the past 80 years. But among movies set in the 1800s, it doesn't matter when they were written, the rate has stayed the same. I mean, it's actually slightly fallen. So clever screenwriters of period films have been resisting modern speech patterns. Excessive filler words would seem obviously out of place in an 1800s setting.
As if.
In my previous video about woke movies, I showed that audiences punish films they regard as using anachronistic language choices in a historical setting. This could explain the heightened awareness from writers or producers, which would be pretty smart on their part. So, are movies getting dumber? Over the past 80 years, movie dialogue has become structurally tighter, with shorter lines, more brief exchange, and scenes broken down into smaller conversational beats. This shift has happened in both contemporary and historical films, suggesting it reflects a real change in the way movies are written.
I'll suck as many dicks as rip as many throats as I have to. Did you hear that?
No.
At the same time, vocabulary diversity has declined and filler words have increased, but mainly among films set in the present day, which means we've become more Jaws than The Counselor. Whether this shift feels dumber depends on whether you see these changes as a loss, an adaptation, or just an evolution. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to see a consensus, but to be honest, I'd quite like an argument or just some rage baiting. And please do also promote your crackpot theory. Thanks for staying all the way to the end. See you next time. Bye!